Good morning. Well, it looks like everybody's on vacations. Summer is almost gone. Back to school. Yeah. Back to school. Oh my goodness. We don't have any kids here today, so back to school and yay. Oh, all kinds of stuff going on. In the kitchen, tomatoes, green and red, cucumbers, and I think aren't there nectarines out front? Don't get them confused. So yeah, don't get them confused. That wouldn't be good at all. This is second service this afternoon, evening, 6 o'clock, second service. So if you want to know what second service is like, it's totally not like this at all. So talk to Janice if that's of interest to you. Weekly notifications for emails. I've been getting a lot of them back. So if you've changed your email, update us if you want to get emails. So, cool. How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. I like it. This was Aristotle, 384 BC, roughly. Hope is a waking dream. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Smart guy. Okay, we do have a couple patron saints, George Carlin and John Lennon. And John, reality leaves a lot to the imagination. And George, just when I discovered the meaning of life, they changed it.
Yeah.
Dang it, happens all the time. Okay, we'll see if I can get through this. This article really touched me today. It was actually in Parade magazine, and I've seen things before about some of the boat people, from Vietnam and everything back in the 70s. And this one, for some reason, really hit home on so many levels for me. This gentleman, Vinh Chung, 30 years ago, his family of 10, I guess they had done quite well before the communists took over Vietnam in the 70s, they said 3 years, so it would be 76 that they took over. And they had done quite well for themselves, had a nice factory, and were doing great. Well, communists took everything, and they hammered out a meek subsistence for about 3 years on the land. Finally, they says, we just got to get out of here before something else bad happens. So they were part of the boat people, that came over. And for the last 5 days on the seas, they had no food, no water. I mean, it was getting to the point where they were starting to make some very serious decisions. And just about that time, somebody found them. This family came to America, didn't speak English, and father got a job at a fiberglass factory earning $90 a week to feed a family of 10. And I'm going to read part of it. The children in their neighborhood were friendly, but we weren't allowed to play with them. My parents were terrified that if one of us got into a fight, we'd all be sent back to Vietnam. That fear defines the life of a refugee. Don't stand out, don't take risks, and whatever you do, don't fail. So his time was divided between school, work, and church. Didn't get in any trouble, didn't have any time. And among the family, together they have 6 doctorates, 5 master's degrees, from Harvard, Georgetown, NYU, etc. I mean, it's amazing. When he was a student in medical school in 2002, he returned to Vietnam for the first time to see relatives. He was shocked by the poverty. Their houses were shacks, the walls plastered over with newspapers, bare light bulbs hung from electrical cords. Cousins slept on the ground. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus said, when someone has been given much will be required in return. Okay, I can't do it. Dang it. But this is a lot further than I got the second time I read it. Okay, I will keep trying. When someone has been given much will be required in return. And when someone has been entrusted with much, even more will be required. 12:48. I used to wonder who Jesus meant, because I sure didn't think it was my family. The way I saw it, we had been given nothing and entrusted with nothing. I hoped that rich and powerful people would read Jesus' words and take them to heart. But when I went to Vietnam, I finally understood he meant me. I was the one plucked from the South China Sea. I was the one granted asylum in a nation where education is available to everyone and prosperity is attainable for everyone. I worked hard to get to where I am today, but the humbling truth is that my hard work was possible because of a blessing I did nothing to deserve. And that blessing is something I must pass on in any way I can. My story is true, etc., etc., etc. It says, much has been given to us and much is required. That, I believe, is what it means to be an American. I've never heard things quite said in quite that sense, but every single piece of it I firmly believe. So, all right, well, I didn't do too bad, actually. I blubbered through that thing the second time. I was just a mess. So, all right. While working for an organization, I don't know if I read these or not because I could have sworn that I read them to myself last week. Maybe I didn't read them out loud, so we'll find out. While working for an organization that delivers lunches to elderly shut-ins, I used to take my 4-year-old daughter with me on the afternoon rounds. Does it sound familiar? Okay. She was unfailingly intrigued by the various appliances of old age, particularly the canes, the walkers, the wheelchairs. One day I found her staring at a pair of false teeth soaking in a glass jar. As I braced myself for the inevitable barrage of questions, she merely turned and whispered, "The tooth fairy will never believe this." Okay, from Derek, age 8. How can a stranger tell if two people are married? You might have to guess based on whether they seem to be yelling at the same kids. Okay. The Washington Post Mensa Invitational once again invited readers to take any word from the dictionary, alter it by adding, subtracting, or changing one letter, and supply a new definition. Cashstration. The act of buying a house renders the subject financially impotent for a definite period of time. Intoxication. Euphoria at getting a tax refund, which lasts until you realize it was money you started out with. Reincarnation. Coming back to life as a hillbilly. Yes, indeed. Okay. Millie's book, The Autobiography of Former President George W. Bush's White House Dog, was published in 1991. The book earned nearly $900,000 in royalty, and this book's a few years old, so it's probably earned more than that. More than 4 times the $200,000 salary George W. Earned as president that year. Dog may have done a better job. I don't know. Just saying. Fortune does not change men. It unmasks them. Success has made failures of many men. And chance does nothing that has not been prepared for beforehand. I believe that one too. Lots of chances out there, lots of things happening, and don't take advantage of it. Since the 17th century, it has been customary to maintain strict discipline on ships. However, it was carried to such an extreme during the era when Europe was expanding her overseas colonies that it was dangerous for a seaman to register a legitimate complaint. French sailors devised a method of escaping punishment by not saying anything. No. They would prepare a written statement and every man would sign it. In order that no man would head the list, they signed in a circle. When the captain received a ruban rond, which round robin, he couldn't tell who signed it first. British seamen borrowed the custom and called it round Reuben. Soon the term was corrupted to round robin, never remotely connected with the bird. Okay, where am I? I'm right here. Oh, this was... Yeah, okay, this will get me in trouble. But that's okay, I'll do it anyway. A new wine for seniors. South Australian vintners in the Barossa Valley area, which primarily produce Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir and Pinot Grigio wines have developed a new hybrid grape that acts as an antidiuretic. It is expected to reduce the number of trips older people have to make during the night. The new wine will be marketed as Pinot More. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. One more. Okay. A few overworked deputy sheriffs deserved a vacation. Together they decided to go to the mountain retreat. Since police officers are so underpaid, they decided to sleep 2 per room so they could afford the trip. But nobody wanted to sleep in the same room with Daryl. Daryl's not here. He's got a well-known reputation for snoring, and since it wasn't fair to make one of them stay with him the whole time, they voted to take turns. First deputy to bunk with Daryl comes to the breakfast the next morning. His hair is a mess, his eyes are bloodshot, looking that he hadn't gotten any sleep. He said, "Oh man, what happened to you?" He said, "Daryl snored so loudly, I just sat and watched him all night, couldn't sleep at all." Following night, it was a different deputy's turn. In the morning, same thing, hair messed up, eyes bloodshot. "What happened to you?" "Oh, you look awful." He said, "Man, that Daryl shakes the roof, he's so loudly, I watched him all night long." Third deputy was Frank's turn. Now Frank was a big burly ex-football player, a man's man. Said he wasn't going to put up with any snoring. "We'll see," said the other deputies. The next morning, he came to breakfast bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. "Good morning, wonderful day outside, isn't it?" They couldn't believe it. They said, "Well, what happened to you?" "Well, we got ready for bed. I went over and tucked Daryl into bed, then kissed him goodnight. He sat up all night watching me, didn't snore a bit." Ha ha. Jan? There's a change. Mind shifters. No more.
Where's the handheld?
Right there.
Can I have that one?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes, on up there. So, I hear there's a change coming. How long have you guys been doing Mind Shifters here at the Divine Fellowship?
4 years.
4 years here at the Divine Fellowship. And we have been studying Michael Rice's work.
Yes.
Why is this happening to me again?
For 24 years.
For 24 years you've studied that, just shared it with us for 4. So it's time for a change. So tell us about that change.
You've talked about many times about, give me a sign. About getting signs, and sometimes they kind of knock you in the head. William and I had been getting little inklings and signs for a few weeks. And the last 2 weeks, Janet was the only one who showed at Mind Shifters. After Michael being here, everybody just dwindled away and we've never had that happen before. And it was the most incredible group as far as energy level that we've ever been with. So I said, okay, God, we get it. There's something going on here. And we've been inspired to pick up the work of Byron Katie, Loving What Is. It's very similar to Michael Rice's work of forgiveness. The difference, I describe it as Michael has given us wonderful information, and it's time to open the heart. Katie's work has some more heart opening to it.
So let's hear from William. What do you like best about Byron Katie's work?
I don't have to have anybody's answer at all. It's easy. The thing that, when Michael was here, he said, okay, it's time to take this work to the next level. And so for me, that means I draw from Course in Miracles that says I need to let go of everything I think I know in order to go to the next level. To open my heart and be willing to look at all the things that are inside of me that are unlike love. Course in Miracles again, it says, our job is not to seek for love, but to look for all the barriers we have against it. Because we are love. It's already ours. There's nothing you can do to lose it. You can't screw this up. It's impossible.
Yes. Yes.
So to simply let go, to draw from all the things we've learned, and simply add to that as we are guided to do so. So when we show up on Wednesday, it depends on who's there. There was a Unity there. She's retired now, a Unity minister in Fort Collins, Colorado. And her game plan for the church was really simple. People would come in and say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. We need this in this church. And she would say, great, when do you want to start? When do you want to do it? If you have energy in it, then we'll support you in that. We've never been as supported as this church has supported us.
Absolutely.
Okay? So we have the courage to say, oh, this is going to be something totally different than we have ever seen before. And all it depends on is whoever shows up. So I'm excited.
So speaking of showing up, apparently there's a bit of a break here between Mind Shifters and the new adventure, and the new adventure is called
Interchange.
Interchange. So Mind Shifters is completed at this point?
Completed at this point, and Interchange will begin on September the 10th. That's September 10, and that's 4 weeks, and Valerie has a handout, and she's going to hand out the specifics of it. So
The wonderful thing is that we're planning on getting the women's restroom redone, and we're hoping that the contractor can come in during this interim that you're not here, and we'll get it all done while we have a break here. So wouldn't that be wonderful?
all things
So
work
manifest
together.
that.
Yes, all things work
Very
together.
cool.
Anything else you would like to know?
Anything else you wanted to? Well, don't tell us everything.
No.
We just show up. Show up.
If you want to get a head start, so to speak, Loving What Is Katie's book. Loving What It is Katie's first book that she wrote, that we're going to start with that. She has incredible tools, just like Michael did. This also gives us an opportunity to bring in other things, because with Michael, Mind Shifters is a copyrighted word, and we could no longer go forward and introduce any other work besides Michael's. And so this gives us more opportunity to be more inspired, to move forward, to opening up and understanding we have all of our answers within. So we do it together. It's a support group and a study group.
Love that.
And we have Oneness Blessing afterwards, and it will also have Oneness Blessing at the beginning of our Wednesday meeting at 6:45. We have Oneness Blessing. And then after service today, there'll be Oneness Blessing too.
Wonderful. Well, thank
You do
you.
not have to be a member of the fellowship to go to this class. So just tell people if they want to have some spiritual growth and be non-harassed about going to church or something. Show up.
Show up. It's fun. We get to have fun.
Yeah, I have extra flyers if you want to take them with you and hand them out to people. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And Sandra and William have requested a song, and we will sing that now. Is it on? Hello. Wake up. My fellowship. Sometimes I get it early, and I get a chance to really ponder it and do some study, and not this week. So yesterday, still hadn't gotten anything. I thought, well, I could talk about this. The answer came back, yeah, you could. Well, I could talk about that. Yeah, you could. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll just be with it a little while longer. Something's going to show. It's okay. So right at dusk, Phil knocks on the door and says, come out here. I went outside in the yard and I was like, what? And he said, look what's missing. Remember me telling you about that big white trailer. It was gone. Hallelujah. It was there a few hours earlier. And I tell you, I practiced this spiritual discipline. Wasn't easy, but it was the spiritual discipline of loving it out of existence, of blessing it out of existence. And every time I saw that big white trailer with the sun beaming on it, it was just blinding. I would say, you know, I bless you. I mean, let's face it. Here's a guy probably in his mid-30s, going through a divorce, living in a trailer in his parents' backyard. This is not a pretty thing. So I just wished him well. I tell you, my first instinct was, that darn trailer and those stupid neighbors. You know, I could have done that. I wanted to do that. But spiritual discipline, I made myself be really kind and send this loving energy. I hope you find happiness. I hope you find a really good job. I hope you get through this really trying time. And you know what's really interesting? Between me and the trailer, the neighbors had planted, a few years ago, had planted these little blue spruce plants. And the one that was right in line with me and the trailer is taller than the other two. Much bigger. It was a recipient of the blessings that I was sending. And it's bigger. I have a picture on my phone if you want to look at that after church. So I loved it out of existence. Easier said than done. I wanted to be angry about that. I wanted to be incensed about that. I had to discipline myself spiritually to do it differently. How long how long ago did I tell you about the trailer? It's been months. Yeah. And it has been there a really long time, but I shared the process with you a few months ago. I've been working on this. So sometimes blessing things out of existence doesn't happen overnight. But if I had not done that, when I discovered the trailer would have been gone, I would have still been angry. It's about time they got rid of that. But as it was, I was so happy. Happiness came out to greet me. You know, happiness stepped up to meet me. It was awesome. It was the coolest, funnest thing, and I was just dancing around the house going, it's gone, it's gone. I'd go, look, and it's just green, and there's no big white ugly thing. It was wonderful. And you know what? He's in a better place. Not in a better place. He didn't cross over anything, but he's in a better place. So I have to tell you that it's not normal to do that. It's not my normal way of dealing with things, but it certainly was beneficial. The reason I bring this up to you, and the reason I'm so excited, is because somebody was telling me some months ago, I just had it stuck in my craw for a long time, that they had gone to another church, which shall remain nameless, and the people, it was in another city, and the other city, the people there, some of our people, were going to have a metaphysical fair, and the church people said, we've got to pray against that. Okay, there's a couple of things that I have an issue with that. First of all, don't pray against me. That's not a good thing. But when you pray against something, that's like a double negative. It's a price you can't afford to pay. Bless it. Send blessings to it. Be kind to it. And here's why. Here's why, here's why, here's why. Because when we hang on with a negativity or an anger or frustration with something, karma can't find them. They go off the karma map because you're attached to them. When I hang on with something with anger and frustration and venom, karma can't kick butt. If I let go, karma finds them. This is a Bible principle. Did you know that? How fun is that? Who knew, right? Who knew? That's not the one I want to start with. That's I'm going to start with this one. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and be displeased, and he turn his anger from him. That's in Proverbs 24:17. Anger is a luxury we can no longer afford as spiritual people. Now, that's not to say things don't happen that trigger us to be angry. You can be angry but don't sin. In the New Testament says that. So how do you be angry and not sin? I was angry that they had parked that thing in the back of their yard and it was an eyesore to me. But I couldn't stay in that state of anger and expect to be blessed. Anger is a luxury. We just can't afford to hang on to that bitterness and that anger. Because if we're hanging on to the anger and we're glad when that person suffers, God pulls the anger away. That karmic response is pulled back. Then here's the deal with karma. Karma isn't here to punish anyone. And if we delight in that, we're adding the energy of punishment to it. And since Spirit doesn't punish us, it gets pulled back. Karma is a learning experience. Karma is a lesson. So people can change and do it differently. People do some of the stupidest, dumbass things in the world, don't they? And they sometimes hurt us in the process. You know, sometimes I do some really dumbass things. But I don't do them because I'm gonna hurt that person. No, it's usually because I'm hurting and I'm empty and I'm struggling with something. And then something that I say or do ends up being hurtful. But if Jesus or God or Spirit or whatever that is for you brings a lesson and I learn from it, then I can look back at that and go, oh, not such a good thing. I don't think I'll do that again. But if somebody hangs on to the anger, I never get my lesson. Let me have my lesson. Let that other person have their lesson. Not punishment. Oh, we want them to be punished. Don't we? I know you have that little evil glint. We all do. We all do. But if we can let them go, then the lesson that they're meant to have will come to them. And maybe they can do it differently. And maybe the lesson that comes to them looks like punishment to us. And maybe the lesson that comes to them we never see. We may never see it. And we get to let that go. Why? I release you in love. You're pestering me and I release you in love. And you get close and I got to fly swatter. That's the lesson it learns. Also in Proverbs, if your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. If he's thirsty, give him water. For you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. Okay, there's more to this. There's more to this. Check this out. In the New Testament, same quote. You've heard it said, you shall love your neighbor. That is an Old Testament quote that's in capital letters, and hate your enemy. The lowercase letters, that was the thought of the day. That wasn't a biblical principle, that was a thought of the day. Because if it was a biblical principle and a quote from the Old Testament, it would have been noted. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Pray for them. Send them blessings. Oh, I don't want to. If you go a little further, go back a bit, this is Matthew 5. If you've heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for tooth, but I say to you, do not resist him who is evil, but whoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn him the other also. Okay, let me give you a little background on that. If somebody were to slap you and you turn the other cheek, the only way they could hit you would be the back of their hand. And in this time and age, only a coward hit somebody with the back of their hand. It was a real insult to the slapper as well as an insult to the slappee. So by turning your other cheek, you're taking your power back. You take your power back. People bully people because they're after power. And if you succumb to that by returning that with hostility and negativity and anger and fear, you're feeding that and you keep yourself from your spiritual power. Your spiritual power is awesome. Awesome, amazing things can happen with spiritual power. But it's the power of love, not the power of hate. So if someone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let them have your coat. Whoever shall force you to go a mile, go with him too. Because here's the deal. Back in those days, the Romans could press someone into service. Oh, hey, you carry my shield here, my sword for a mile. You had to do it, or they could take your life. That was a power-taking thing. They could just pick anybody, make you do it. Didn't matter whether you didn't feel good or not. They had the power over you to do that. Some bosses treat us that way sometimes, don't they? And here it says, go an extra mile. You know why? Not because you're a sap, but because you're taking your power back. Take your power back. By going that extra mile, that's choice. I choose to do this for you. You didn't make me do it. You didn't take it from me. I gave it. And I take my power back. First thing that God gave humanity was breath of life. The second thing he gave us was choice. Take your power back by choosing. And choose kindness. Because kindness is the key. Kindness matters. It doesn't matter what they're doing to you. Stay in that state of kindness. Stay locked in there. And it's a spiritual discipline. It doesn't come easy. It's hard work. A year of blessing a big, ugly, white trailer is not fun. But we can do that. If I can do it with a trailer, whatever is going on in your life right now, bless whoever or whatever that circumstance is. Because if you bless them, karma will find them faster. Don't rejoice in it, because it's not punishment. But maybe there's something they get to learn. And maybe they can shift. And maybe they can change. That's what it's all about. It's not about I'm right and you're wrong. It's about let's all evolve. Let's all get better. Let's all do it a different way. Let's all find love. And it's hard work sometimes. It's not easy. I would far rather have said really bad words about that stupid, white, ugly thing. So blessing it was a challenge for me. But it was worth facing it. Because now I still have to say that maybe they just took a trip. So they took the travel trailer with them. And they could be coming back. I'm just blessing the heck out of their trip, if that's what they're doing. I'm just blessing it and blessing it. Now the good news is they left the kids there, so the grandkids were there, so chances are it wasn't a trip. So for now, I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful that person got to move on and be in a different place in their life so that they have more accountability, more power in their life. And I didn't lose my power in the process. Didn't lose my power in the process. Don't lose your power. When we get upset and frustrated and hurt by other people's actions, we lose our power. Because our power doesn't lie in retaliation. We feel helpless. But our power is in love. There's tremendous power in love. Tremendous power in love. We can change the heartbeat of someone who's ill. Did you know that, huh, Kat? More on that to come. Because love changes things. Hate doesn't change anything. Hate just keeps it going. So bless the heck out of it. Don't pray against anything. Don't pray against anything. That's counterproductive. Because that's going to kick you in the butt. If you want that karmic kickback, you want somebody else to learn their lesson. You don't need to learn a lesson. Because I tell you, sometimes lessons are not fun. Have you ever had a fun lesson from Spirit? We don't learn when it's fun. We learn when it's tough. So learn easy, and then you don't have to experience the tough stuff. Right? That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. if there's anything else I need to share with you. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who carries out wicked schemes. Cease from anger. Forsake wrath. Fret not yourself. It only leads to evil doing. For evildoers will be cut off. But those who wait for the Lord, they will inherit the land. That's a promise. We will inherit really good things. But we've got to let go of the anger. Got to let go of the anger. I grew up in a household where fear, you didn't get to be afraid. Tough up. Didn't get to cry. I'll give you something to cry about. But anger was an acceptable response. You could be angry. So we learned anger was okay. So when I feel fear, sadness, or frustration, or loneliness, or overwhelmed, it vents itself as anger. Anybody else have that same issue? We are in a culture that accepts anger as a suitable response. I challenge you to take a look at that and do it differently and not let anger be your response. Let kindness be your response. Fess up to the real feelings. I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. But I don't have to punish Phil because I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't have to punish anybody else with my feelings because I'm not in a good place. Kindness is the key. Kindness is the key. And it doesn't hurt anything to be kind. One more pass. This way. Nope. I can't remember what I was looking for. I'll show you the one I found. Because everything happens for a reason. I don't know why. This one, it says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is the tree of life. Sometimes when we feel helpless and hopeless, then we're heartsick, and that heartsick can manifest itself as anger. But when we have hope, remember, hope is that waking dream. And sometimes our hopes, what's going on in the world isn't what we want it to be. I had hoped for a beautiful backyard forever, never, never. And I got something else. And it made my heart sick. But to respond to it in a negative way only kept me trapped in negativity. It only perpetuated the problem. But by sending a blessing and sending a kindness, the hope returned. And when the hope was manifest, then that was a happy day. I've been doing a happy dance. Lots. So Mr. Phil, would you help me up front, please? There you are. Communion is our opportunity to commune. While we're communing with one another, we're also communing with that divine source, whatever that is for you. And when you partake of this, allow yourself to realize that everything that is coming your way is coming for a reason, even though it feels awful, and send it a blessing. So receive this with a blessing and send a blessing out. Would you join me in prayer, please? Loving Spirit of light, thank you for being there with us no matter what, even when things are tough. Things sometimes are really tough. Grant us grace. Sometimes we don't have it within our own self. Grant us peace. Sometimes we don't have that within ourselves. Allow us to be kind. Help us in that. Walk with us in all things. These things we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Join us in prayer again, please. Loving Spirit of light, as we drink this in, help us to drink in love. Help us to recognize the kindness that you bring to us in every blessing. And with that, help us to share. These things we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Enough a volunteer for that.
We have a volunteer.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a caregiver, and as a caregiver, I take care of a lot of people, but I forgot to take care of myself. And about a year ago, I started having some health issues, and with like the lungs and the heart. And a couple months ago, it started getting really bad, and I could feel like congestion building up, and my blood pressure was real high and dizzy, and didn't think I was going to make it. And I got my insurance card, went to the doctor, and they're like, why did you wait so long? So right away they did the EKG and the x-ray, and they put me on some blood pressure pills, and they said, we got to send you to a heart doctor urgently. But I wasn't able to get in there for like a month. So a few years ago, I would have kept this all to myself, but I thought, that's ego. I started sharing it with my divine family. I took a Reiki class with Earlene. I went to the healing groups and put myself on the prayer list, warrior prayer list. Got a CPAP machine to help me breathe better. And finally got in to see the heart doctor. And he checked me over. And he steps back, puts his hands on his hips and looks back at me. He's like, how did your heart get better in 6 weeks? And so I said, I've been making some spiritual changes and the power of prayer. And so I just want to thank my divine family support system and I call it my fun house loving support system. And I love you all, and this is why we come here to support each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said.
That sounds like something Randy Farrar would say. Was it? Who's a heart doctor?
Starts with the A.
Oh, yeah, okay. Still sounds like something Randy would say.
How fun is that? How fun is that? And the same principle applies